Hello, Modern Sages Soul Tribe. In a call to the ancestors, this week we're going to be discussing the direction of the East connected to the mind, as well as what our ancestors experience when they cross over. Are you searching? Are you looking for something new, something different? Are you being called to your ancestral roots? The Modern Sages podcast is a tribe of women that believe in exploring beyond the broken constructs of society. We believe in empowering women to embrace the medicine within. All with an open mind, baby. A lot of times in this physical realm, we get stuck in our mind. We get stuck in the heaviness of what's going on around us. We tend to hold on to things so deeply, but that's part of the human journey. Nothing is wrong with that. But as we're remembering, as we're stepping more into the sacredness that life has to offer, as we're diving deeper into our soul's contracts, our soul's expression, it's almost like there's this reclamation of what goes on within our thoughts and what goes on in our mind. And this is the direct connection to the East. The East is a sign of new beginnings. Where we're at, the sun rises in the East. And it's this rebirth, it's the springtime, it's this new cycle of life, this new excitement. And this is so heavily connected to our mind. It's connected to our thoughts. How often do we hold ourselves captive because of the thoughts that we're experiencing and the heaviness that comes along with it? I know for myself that there are times where I'm in this constant tornado. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Why didn't I say this? What about that? In the past, I was so heavily anxiety ridden because I was so focused on, oh, I didn't say the right thing. That person's going to think something of me. And it was almost the point where I didn't even want to speak because I was so worried that what I would say would land wrong. It would look stupid. So then I would just stop talking. And then I got in my head all these things. Oh, I can't share. I can't do this. I can't do that. What about this? What about that? And it became like a paralysis. And that's how it is with the mind. If you've ever had a conversation or you wish you would have said something different, and it's just like this tornado, it's like it's easy to get swept up in the whirlwind. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. What about this? How come I didn't say this? Can I say this? This is a conversation. But what we're being called to do is to step into the eye of the storm, to step into the center of that tornado, to connect above where there's peace. And know that this chaos, this tornado is part of the human journey where we find ourselves getting swept up in it. And then we come back to the I. We acknowledge, okay, I'm here, I'm human, I'm safe. It's okay to be part of this human journey. It's okay to feel these things. And sometimes I'm going to choose into the drama. I'm going to choose into the thoughts. And then I'm going to remind myself, I'm connected to above. I have this peace about me. I don't have to be swept away in the drama unless I decide that I want to. And that is a whole lot easier said than done. But as we are aware of this tendency that is a natural part of this human journey, we can have a better perspective of this. In the shamanic teachings, it's really connected to the eagle. It's connected to the winged creatures, where they can sit above the branch and they can look down and they can see all the things that are going on. And yet those things don't have to define who they are. They're able to see above the picture, to see things for what they truly are, which is life lessons, which is our soul's essence of learning and growing. And when we can take a step back, come into the eye of the storm, sit upon the branch as a bird, and look at the circumstances that are showing up as a way of lessons to be learned, of what your soul came here to learn, welcoming in the growth, it gives us a better opportunity for us to authentically stand in our power so that we can fulfill our mission, but we can find peace in the process. This is also connected into your breath. the breath of life, your lungs. So many times when there's so much going on, all we have to do is stop and remember to breathe, to connect into our heart, to connect into our chest, to just take 5 deep breaths. The breath of life is so freaking powerful. I have this sinus stuff going on right now, and it's very much so connected. I've been doing some breath work and some different things, and I've always had a pretty stuffy nose in my life. I haven't been able to really breathe out of it. And as I've been practicing this breath work, all of a sudden, my sinuses are just draining, they're just clearing out. And you wouldn't think that would happen. This has been about a week of it. It's just like constantly like opening up my sinuses, which is something that I haven't had in such a long time. But as we're stepping into breathing, as we're regulating our nervous system, as we're taking that time to heal, our body naturally is going to come back in sync for those things that truly matter. Even though right now it's difficult, I've had a stuffy nose and it's just been draining out. It's part of the process of recentering and realigning for those things that are going to be serving for the better benefit of this experience. We're taught that a lot of times we only really breathe in the upper part of our abdomen. We don't really take deep breaths. And so in this breathwork class, it's like starting at the base, like going to the bottom, like to your stomach and breathing all the way in, and then to the middle point, and then to the upper point, and showing that there's 3 parts of this breath work that can really bring us back home. It can bring us back into who we are, help us to feel safe in our body, but to also calm our mind so that we have the ability to sit on the branch and to view life's circumstances and to see the lessons and to see the beauty versus to just get stuck in the drama. And for those who feel like they're in this heavy position in life, you are seen and you are heard. And maybe it's important to get some kind of help. Some kind of mental support would be wonderful if you're in a space where you feel that stuck, that heaviness, or even those deep wounds. When it comes to our mind and those who cross over, the mindset plays a big part of someone's experience here. Whether somebody had a really traumatic lifetime, maybe their body was really sick, maybe someone ended up deciding to come home early. There's a lot of things that go on within the mind that can hold us captive. So, having that been said, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Rainbow Bridge. And it's actually funny, as I was recording this original podcast, I kept feeling like a block coming in. And my mind was really fuzzy. I've had a lot of sinus stuff going on. So I just had to stop and take a pause. And you'll hear in the podcast that we talk about the Rainbow Bridge. And instantly, as we were talking about that, I just felt like kind of this blocking energy coming forward. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to stop and surrender to whatever else spirit wants me to have. And I was sitting there and I felt so prompted to go to a thrift store out in a different area that's like 30 minutes from my house. And I have been preparing for some gatherings. So I've been getting like some glass bowls and different things like that. So I'm like, okay, I'll just check it out. I don't know why, but I'm feeling drawn to do that. And as I was driving there, um, we had a close friend, like a family friend, acquaintance, recently pass away. And it was very unexpected. And there was a lot of trauma and so much drama connecting into it. And so, you know, I felt this being in my space before, and I was just like, I don't know what if I open up the door, what that's gonna look like. And I don't know if I really want to. And so I've kind of just been like kind of pushing that back a little bit. And all of a sudden I'm pulling up to this thrift store. And lo and behold, this being steps into the car and is in the passenger seat. And it was clear as day what I was being called to do to help this being to start to make amends in the physical world. And I was on a call, just chatting away with my sister and just started pouring in all this information. And it was almost like this plea to like please help me to start to make amends. And please help me. I know I've burned a lot of bridges in many different ways, and I want to just start to make amends in the physical realm as I am doing that for myself. And it almost felt like this plea to also help to clear out any excess energy that was stuck, holding him back from being able to progress on the other side. And I don't normally typically I don't focus on that kind of stuff just because in the past when I've been littler, it's been very intense. Um, but this also is in reflection too. When we lived in Georgia last year, um, we went boating and I had been told about this place called Flamingo Cove. And in that place, a lot of people decide to just party and have fun. And there's a lot of riptides because the lake there actually it used to be a town and then they just flooded the whole town. So there's a lot of buildings underneath the water, a lot of riptides and currents that are not expected, especially in this Flamingo Cove. So along with that, I had heard about it and we had started to just go on the boat and it was still like kind of cold out. So we were like all in warm clothes and just hanging out. And all of a sudden it was clear as day. I didn't know we were going to Flamingo Cove, but we get there and all of a sudden I'm drowning. Like I feel like I'm drowning and I'm like trying to breathe. And I look over at the person driving the boat, our buddy Benton, and I was like, "Is this Flamingo Cove?" And he's like, "Yes." And it was so intense. The connection and the spirits that might have been stuck. No, not might, that were holding on or hanging on there. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm here. I guess this is what we need to do. And so I sat on the boat, on the front of the boat, and just took a few deep breaths in. And I could feel 18 different souls there was still lingering effects of their passing here. One of them to be a man who he kept showing me something about 9 months old, 9 months, and it was about a baby. And there was just so much sadness and regret and heaviness. And so I talked with him for a little bit, and it was just like this explanation of like him saying, I was a dumbass and I wasn't supposed to go out, and I did, and now I'm not there to watch my kid grow. And it was this really sobering and heavy emotional experience. And actually, I had talked to him. So afterward, I had talked to Benton about it, and he's like, "Yeah, that guy was on the news last year." Um, so it was just like this crazy experience. But in the process of that, I had called upon Freya. I work with her a lot in my shamanic practices. Freya, she's a Norse goddess. And I called upon her and I was like, I don't know what to do because there's so many people here that have uncompleted blueprints that are still here. And she showed me and worked with me about, I helped this guy, kind of transition a little bit. And then I said, is there any way that I can call upon you and we can create a team so that all these other souls that might need help, you can be there to help them and to help them navigate the war within so that they can find love and find peace and find a healing to move forward. And so we had this agreement and I could see her as we pulled away, I could see her being very much so in that space. And for one, it's a little embarrassing. And I know I shouldn't feel that way, but when you're with like a bunch of people that you don't know, this had been like probably within the first week of us moving to Georgia. And I didn't know anybody. And then all of a sudden, I'm like talking to dead people on the front of the boat. And it was like very embarrassing. Not that it has to be embarrassing, but sometimes you just can't honor. It's just something that you tell and talk about when the time is right. And it was just being forced into the space. Um, so having that been said, I reconnect that and I connect that with this being that came forward that was like, I need you to help me to help remove some blueprints and energetic debris that I have left behind so that I can continue on my healing journey. And this was like so about the Rainbow Bridge, about the process of acceptance and starting to step into the self-trust and the transition on the other side. And it was just this confirmation of like, oh, okay, I need to bring in this information also connected to the Rainbow Bridge because there is so much of a lack of understanding and such a fear on the other side that really it holds us back from finding light and finding love and finding truth within ourselves. I didn't have any of my tools, anything, and it just felt like I needed to create this ceremony out where this person had a lot of energetic debris. And so I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to the crystal, the rock shop by here, getting some smudge, getting some different things, I suppose, to help clear out the space. And as I did that, it was like setting this intention, doing a ceremony, and just allowing this being's thoughts and feelings and needs to just help guide what was happening. And it was like this whole conversation about, you know, finding forgiveness within the self and in that space. And it just was a very beautiful experience. And typically I would be like, oh, this is going to be really tough because of how everything went down. But there was an infinite amount of love and support flooding through on my side and on that side. And I just think it's a beautiful reminder, too, that none of us are perfect here. And yeah, we are going to cross over at some point and be aware of our choices, be aware of those relationships that we impacted or that energetic debris that we left behind, whether it be good or not so good. As a soul steps onto that rainbow bridge, they really are given a deeper sense of connection, a deeper sense of awareness if they so choose to. And it's an evolution on the other side. And this comes a lot with people who might have taken their life or had unexpected tragedy that has struck them. And one thing that I work a lot with is people who are navigating suicide. And that, let me tell you, is a tough subject to touch upon because there's so much fear and heaviness and resentment and grudging. Like there's just so much to that space. And thank God that they have the Rainbow Bridge or that space of growth, of self forgiveness, of self reflection. And part of that is making amends and doing what they can to help bridge and to help family members and those impacted to heal. And that's not always an easy thing, and it takes a lot of time and diligent effort. And they understand that. They're aware of what that requires of them as they grow. They want to make those amends and they want to move into a different space. If there was someone who was very abusive or who there's so many different circumstances and plagues that come in this physical body that when we cross over, our soul is able to look at that and accept it for what it is and to see the lessons in it. But part of seeing the lessons is making amends, is talking to other people, and it is diligently facing those things to learn and to grow and to have that be a part of the journey. And that's the beauty of the Rainbow Bridge. It's the beauty of seeing that we can have a sense of peace, even though things are tough, even though we might have made decisions that we didn't like or other people did. It's pulling back to see things from that bird's eye view. And that's the direction of the East, is to be able to fly the wings of the birds, to see this life as a journey, an experience, an expression of who we are, but yet it's not a defining factor as to who we are or what we have to be in the world, which is kind of difficult to trust at times as well. But it's part of this sacredness, this deepening of our soul's expression that doesn't discount anyone who's hurting or doesn't give us permission to be a shitty human being. If we're like, I'm just going to make bad decisions. At some point, everybody has to face those consequences and experiences. And it's just part of the universal law of this human journey. What we get out, what we give returns. And a lot of people talk about heaven and hell, and I believe that when people cross over, they can be deemed in their own sense of hell depending upon how they view their life and their choices. And there's always space for forgiveness, regardless of what that looks like. And that's also something that is a choice. It's our free agency. They don't have to step onto that rainbow bridge, or they can chill at the beginning or in the middle. They don't have to do anything, but it's for their soul's growth and recognition to be able to do that in a way that's going to help their soul evolve and to grow. And I want to also acknowledge that it's not always easy for people on the other side to evolve. Because sometimes we think, oh, they're in another place, they're just happy hunky dory, and we're left here to pick up the pieces. And so much of that also is when you hurt somebody or when you get in a fight with somebody, you can make amends and say sorry, but sometimes that wounding, sometimes that fear will show up where it's like, oh, I'm so sorry that I said that. And it's a evolving of releasing and letting go, surrendering and trusting. My little Murphy joined us. Hi, baby boy. Hi, my sweet guy. I love you. And knowing that it's a process. It's a process of growth, and it doesn't happen overnight. And even on the other side, it's a process of growth that's still in the works. So a big question that I get asked is what happens to a soul when it crosses over? Now, of course, this is going to be different for everybody depending upon their beliefs, what they grew up believing, if they believed in anything or not. It feels like there's always a different kind of transition for people depending upon where they were at or what they believed or how they crossed over at the same time. However, there is a common thread of having people there to welcome them back home into the spirit realm. I have never ever had someone come forward who was not taken care of or didn't have any connection or anyone there to take care of them as they crossed over in the spirit realm. Most of the time, people will address some aspect of having to cross over and to review their life sketch. Now, as we talk about the life sketch and how this shows up, there's a huge acknowledgement for the progression of people on the other side. Just because someone might have been in a certain situation in life, or maybe they were more grumpy or more ornery, it doesn't mean that they're stuck in that space of not being able to progress or to find happiness or to move forward. That's a huge misconception that we have. When it comes to crossing over, I feel a lot of taboo. It's in that time of reflection too, that they're able to look at their soul contracts, to look at the messages and the lessons that they learned per person. A lot of times we think, oh, they had so many hard things going on, or they hurt so many different people. And in this space, they become very aware of their choices. They become very aware of those things that they are proud of, as well as things that they wanted to push under the rug or to hide away. And we know that all of those things show up for us for our greatest soul's learning. So as all these things are popping up, they also have a team of ancestors, of loved ones, of guardians and guides, people there to help them so that they can look at these experiences face on and to take it for the lessons learned, to see those things, to acknowledge those things, and to be able to move forward as far as what people are worthy of or what they have been working so hard to achieve in their lifespan. And it hasn't ever come across that way on the other side. You know, As they're able to reflect upon their life, they're able to see the good and the bad, the choices that they were proud of, as well as the choices that maybe weren't so great, but always looking at it as a form of reflection. And this is where the rainbow bridge really comes into play. I find that a lot of times it's almost as if those who cross over are welcomed onto this rainbow bridge. And as they're walking across this bridge, all these different colors, these different memories, the different choices that others made or that they made come showing up or flashing in front of them. So they can look at that and choose to move forward and to find peace and love, forgiveness, understanding, or they can hold back and they can allow that to stick with them, those memories that maybe they weren't so proud of or things that held them back in a way. And so this rainbow bridge is just an aspect of someone being able to honor their life sketch and to look at it and to see what worked and what didn't work so that they can really take on the brightest lessons that their soul came here to accomplish. Now, I just feel like I need to take a moment and to connect in to our galactic family, to our ancestors and angels, to dive deeper into the realm of this rainbow bridge because it feels like there's a deeper activation, a deeper purpose, and a deeper healing coding that is part of this journey. So I just feel like I'm going to take a moment to connect into my heart. I would invite you to do the same by taking a few deep breaths so that we can connect in to bring in more information about this rainbow bridge and how it's here to help us navigate this physical journey. This rainbow bridge is encoded in all that we are, the very core essence of our spiritual path. As we are aware, it's almost as if I'm seeing that like we can live life on one color of this rainbow bridge, or as we deepen our perception, as we awaken to healing, as we awaken to our full, powerful self, it's like all of a sudden you hear the words like coming online. And it's almost like all of a sudden, as we're coming online, as we're aware of this depth, this deeper part of who we are, it's like we're accessing these different colors on the rainbow bridge where we don't necessarily have to just have one color. It's like we can have both. And then we can navigate even more and even more. And there are times where we feel very happy and we feel very fulfilled and we're so connected. And there are times where maybe we're not as connected and we feel disappointed or we're going through different dark nights of the soul. It's like we're riding the different waves, the different colors of these rainbow bridges. And as we are able to focus in, all of a sudden we have more depth. We can see different colors. We can see there's multi dimensions of this life, that there are major soul lessons that we came here to learn. But not only that, when we're feeling stuck, it's almost like we can recharge our energy to have a better push onto the rainbow bridge to give us more function. It's almost like in Mario Kart when you're racing and you can go fast and you can hit those turbo bumps that help you. And when we recenter, when we detox the body, when we come back into the nervous system, when we balance our body, it's like this detox is pushing forward to charge up, to to go faster and to be more aware of who we are and this purpose and why we're here. And many of our ancestors lived very predominantly in one lane, in one color, and that was it. And it really feels like there's this awakening, and it's a call for us to dive deeper. It's a call for us to see that, yes, we can choose to have one color as part of our lifetime, but we're not limited to that. And our ancestors want to help us to navigate and to experience all of this depth of who we are. Our soul came here to be a part of that. And not only that, most of us were guards or guardians to those ancient ancestors who came before. Or maybe that was us in a past life. And all of a sudden, it's like this remembrance is coming back, being connected to the earth, wanting to find better ways to help with mental health. As we've spent so much time on social media, we can become numb to that and it can have more of a depression, anxiety. It's popping up everywhere. And people are realizing that it's time to find a different way to navigate that. And a lot of people are going back to the roots of the earth, to the herbs, the natural remedies, to being literally outside, being grounded, to let go of that mental clutter, that tornado with the mind. It's like coming back outside to the roots is grounding us to the eye of the tornado. And some of the stuff that we experience isn't just ours, it's our ancestors. And so, as we're stepping into this space and learning about our mind, learning about the chaos that can unfold if we allow it to, or that is unfolding generationally, our ancient ancestors and ancestors want to help us so that we can walk the path of the rainbow bridge long before we cross over, so that we can see the lessons that are showing up as lessons. We don't have to be a victim to our circumstances, but that can be an empowering power pack to help us to know what our true purpose is in this world. So many times, our greatest weaknesses, where we're the most wounded, is our core purpose. It's where we are the strongest to fulfill this connection as to who we are and why we're a part of all of this. It's such a beautiful reminder. And I also keep feeling the need to address that activating this rainbow bridge does not have to be hard or heavy. If you go back to Mario Kart when you're playing the game, it's a fun experience. There are challenges, there are turns that go really quickly, different things like that. But ultimately, it can be an exciting adventure where, yes, you might not get first place, but you're still learning and growing and navigating. And who's to say that first place isn't fourth place? Why does first place have to be the first, right? Accomplishing it and being part of it is the journey. It's why we're here. It's the substance of life. And so as we can remember that our ancestors, our ancient ancestors want to help us. They want to help us reclaim those truths. They want to help us bring our DNA back into proper balance. Breath work is one of the most profound things that a person can do to discover themselves. Not only are you bringing your body back to balance, you are getting to know yourself in a multidimensional way. Because as you sit in stillness, as you're breathing and you're bringing yourself back into your body to experience the presence, you get to find out who you are in an even deeper way. You get to honor and love and experience the journey in a way that brings mindfulness and connection to the body. And honestly, the most amazing part about it is that you don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to rely on anybody. You literally have this power that naturally is existing at all times for you. Naturally, it's just part of your life force energy. It's part of this flow that you can tap into and have such beautiful experiences. And our ancestors and our ancient ancestors who lived off of the land, the power of breath was huge. It was part of life. It was breathing in this life force energy, going out into nature and having this fresh air, breathing it in is such a reminder. You know, when we lived in Georgia, there was a beautiful trail right close to our house I love to walk on. And throughout the summer, as it got more humid, there were mushrooms growing everywhere. As you would walk, I would take a break and I'd breathe, and you could breathe like you could smell all the mushrooms growing. And it was such a cool experience, but it brought me right back into the moment of, wow, look at all these things that are growing to help with brain health, memory, helping your soul heal in very deep, profound ways that are just naturally growing all around us. That Mother Earth helps us with as we become rooted. We can become more aware of the eye of the storm versus getting swept up in the tornado. So now that we have talked about the Rainbow Bridge, we've talked about the East, the birds, seeing things through clear mind, I wanted to add a meditation and an activation to offer support of opening up to the bird's perspective, opening up to the direction of the east and allowing that to be part of our journey here and now so that we can see things in a clearer way. So we can see things like Murph in a way that's happy and healthy and fun. What do you think about that, huh, Bye-bye? It's a good idea, isn't it? All right, let's jump in. Find yourself in a comfortable position. Moving and making sure you feel safe and secure in the area in which you're at. And take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Taking time to center and to feel present in your body, to focus on the blood rushing through your veins, or maybe focusing on your heartbeat, knowing that it is safe to be here in this present moment right now. We are going to focus on the breath of life. Having that been said, let's take 3 deep breaths, breathing in for 5, holding for 5, and exhaling for 5. Breathing in for 5, holding for 5, and exhale for 5. And you'll notice as you're exhaling, you'll begin to push that exhale from the very bottom of your stomach. So this time breathing in for 5, focusing all the way to the bottom of your stomach. Expanding your stomach, making it as big as possible as if there's a balloon in your belly. And exhaling, bringing it all the way up and out. Doing the same thing again, breathing in, connecting all the way into your belly, and connecting out. Noticing the feeling of being present. As you release any stress, you may find yourself needing to exhale really loudly or quickly, or sticking your tongue out, just breathing it all the way out and getting it outside of you. And every breath in, you're breathing in life. It's sustaining you, and you're exhaling anything that no longer serves you so that you can fulfill your soul's mission. Knowing that through your breath, all things are possible. Being present in the moment is here and now. And your body is a beautiful tool to make that happen. You don't need to look outside yourself for the answers, but trust the power of your breath. You may begin to feel a spiraling in your body, or a shifting of energy as you focus on your breathing. Allow this spiral of energy to take you up, knowing that you're safe to do so. We will begin with our light body activation, clearing your ways for a deeper connection to your guide to help you see things from a positive and a high perspective. Ooh, ooh. It is safe to feel. It is safe to feel like you and to be you at this time. We're going to ask ourselves, what bird is our guide today? And notice if a bird shows up, an image of a bird, just the awareness of a bird. What kind of bird is showing up, or what does that bird look like? You'll begin to see this bird grow bigger and bigger, welcoming you to step on its back, to be secure by the wings, to let you know that you can fly on the wings of this bird and it can be safe for you to do so. Climb onto the back of that bird and just notice the breath that this bird offers as your legs and your stomach move with the bird's energy. Knowing that it is safe to explore and to feel connected to this bird. And you begin to wrap your arms around this bird's neck, giving a big hug. And the bird is here to support you. And you'll find yourself being so connected to this bird and the beauty that it offers. I want you to think of an experience that you would like to receive some insight on in your life. And as you think of this experience, you begin to notice that your breath is matching the breath of your bird. As you are becoming in sync and one with this purpose to receive guidance. As you find yourself in tune, you'll notice that this bird takes flight. Allow this bird to take you wherever it needs to. Maybe pulling over or flying over that circumstance. To be able to look at it from a bird's eye view. And you'll feel a sense of freedom flying with the bird. Just surrendering that this bird and you are connected through the power of the breath. And that this bird is here to show you a different perspective of this circumstance. You may find yourself perched on a branch, looking down at the experiences had. Asking your bird and your breath to help you to see a different perspective. A different message that comes with this beautiful lesson of life. If any emotions show up, feel that emotion with your breath. encompassing, engulfing, and breaking it up. And to feel this calling back of the bird, bringing you back to your body, back to where you're at in this physical realm. You'll find yourself merging back with your body, taking 5 deep breaths in, and with each breath you take, you're entering back, integrating deeper into your body, feeling a deeper sense of connection, of pride, of honor, of joy, of excitement, and a lightness in your heart, wiggling your fingers and your toes, opening your eyes and bringing yourself back into this moment. Take a moment to reflect upon what you experienced. What did your bird show you? What kind of bird showed up for you? Could you find yourself merging with the breath of the bird? As we take time to reflect these experiences, we are bringing that spiritual concept into the physical form as part of the power and co-creation that we have and that we are part of. That's part of our offering to the world. Thank you so much for listening. I am hosting a month of spirit in September, and in this container, there's going to be 8 classes, and we're going to be really debunking and removing any of those past traumas, any of those limitations that have held us back from stepping into spirituality. We too are going to be discussing the duality in the spirit realm. A lot of times and just in passing in regular conversations, it's so easy to be like, talk about paranormal and scary things, but we don't always talk about the positive and the enlightenment things because we're taught you have to keep all those sacred things secret. And in doing so, yes, there is a time and a place for all things, but also in doing so, it almost like pulls us back from being able to really embrace and to feel those things and to be okay and know it's a normal concept. It's part of our innate ability. And so in this month of spirit, we're going to be honing in on all of those. We're going to be doing some activities and activations to bring your gifts online, along with having different ways that the spirit connects into us and how we can start to trust those things that are coming forward. There's going to be a beautiful PDF that has different bonus activities and all the good things. So, and we're going to be having an amazing soul tribe that's just going to connect and all deepen together. So, if that really resonates with you, in the show notes below, there is a pre registration form that I would love for you to fill out to receive extra bonuses before our September month of spirit begins.
Do you feel called to connect to your medicine within? Have you wanted to strengthen your spiritual gifts? Are you looking for ways to incorporate the sacred into your everyday life? Maybe do you want to have like-minded friends in a tribe who can connect with you? Modern Sage's Soul Tribe is dedicated to spiritual seekers like yourself who are embracing the medicine within. Now, in this tribe, we are going to be doing moon gatherings, amazing spiritual gift giveaways, connecting to a soul tribe, as well as hosting mystery school classes. If you are feeling called to connect to the Soul Tribe, I will leave a link for you in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to Modern Sages Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us online. Blessings.